Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back with another rankings video today, coming at you with my top 30 wide receivers for week 7 of fantasy football. I just uploaded my running back video, so if you did not see that, make sure to go check that out. We are in the midst of bye week, so I want to mention those. Obviously, those players won't be ranked here. Just want to go through those. So the Bills, Rams, Vikings, and Eagles are all on bye, so no Stephon Diggs, no Cooper Kupp, no AJ Brown, no Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Gabe Davis, a bunch of absolute studs not playing this week. Hopefully, you'll be able to get through it. If you do have any questions about start sits that aren't mentioned here, or you just want some further clarification, put those down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I got content coming the rest of the year for fantasy football. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. All right, so first up, we're going to have Tyreek Hill. He's absolutely dominating this year. He's on pace for almost 2,000 receiving yards, and he's played with some backup quarterbacks the last couple weeks and still been dominating. Now he gets Tua back, and he's going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which are allowing the most points to wide receivers on the year so far. So this is an absolutely smash play for Tyreek Hill. Not that you're not, but start him with absolute full confidence. After him, we're going to have Jamar Chase, who finally had a bounce back week last week. The entire Bengals offense just looked a lot better, and I think that's going to continue, especially against a friendly Atlanta Falcons defense, which is allowing the 6th most points to wide receivers on the year so far. And the last guy I have in this first tier is Devontae Adams, who's coming off a bye. They're going up against the Houston Texans, which have actually been kind of tough against wide receivers. Derek Stingley is very good, but still a rookie, so not worried about that. They've also been bleeding points to the running back, so I think that's a lot of the reason why they haven't scored a lot of points at wide receiver. Devontae Adams is just too good. Obviously, you're going to start him. I think he's in this top tier pretty easily, and these are the top 3 that I have in this first tier, so we're going to move on to the second tier. To start off the second tier, I'm going to have CeeDee Lamb, who is going up against the Detroit Lions, which have been a pretty bad defense all year, and he's been absolutely great with Cooper Rush, and he is finally getting Dak Prescott back, so he's going to be back to his old self. I mean, not like he wasn't doing good for you, but going to be doing even better. Obviously, the whole entire offense should do a lot better, and they should absolutely dominate this defense. So I think CeeDee Lamb's an easy top 5 play this week. After him, I'm going to have Michael Pittman, who is going up against the Tennessee Titans. They are allowing the 2nd most points to wide receivers on the season, so an absolutely smash play. He balled out last week. Didn't get in the end zone, unfortunately, but still absolutely great game from him. Hopefully, they'll have Jonathan Taylor back, which should just help the entire offense, more scoring opportunities. After Pittman, we're going to have Deebo Samuel, who's going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. This should be a pretty high scoring game, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been giving up the 3rd most points to wide receivers on the season, so smash matchup for him. Didn't have an amazing game last week, but still serviceable for everybody. Brandon Ayuk just got the 2 touchdowns. Obviously, that's not going to happen every week. Still got 12 targets, so I'm not too worried about him at all, and I think against this defense, he should absolutely ball out. After Deebo, I'm going to have Jalen Waddle, who is also going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously, like Tyreek Hill, and they're giving up the most points to wide receivers. With Tua back, he should be absolutely great again. He's had some up and down games. Obviously, that's to be expected with the backup quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. They're not going to be able to support 2 elite wide receivers, and they show that they can both do that while they're in this offense. And in this matchup, they should both be top 10 plays, so I'm starting them both very confidently if I got them. And the last guy I have in this tier 2 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's been absolutely great this year. He just has battled injury the past couple weeks and was on a bye last week, but I still think that he's an elite option going forward. He does have a tough matchup against Dallas this week, who has been a great defense so far, so I got him ranked a little bit lower than where I might have him. Regardless, though, he's going to be in your lineup no matter what this week. All right, moving on to the third tier, we are going to have the return of DeAndre Hopkins. I've seen a lot of rankings, and a lot of people seem to have him a lot lower, which I don't fully understand. I mean, I get it somewhat because obviously he hasn't played football in a while, so that's worrisome, but he's not coming off an injury whatsoever. He should be completely healthy. He was a top 10 wide receiver while he played last year. No Hollywood Brown, which I don't know if that actually helps or hurts. I think it would have been really nice to have them both so it can really open up this offense. But regardless, we know he's going to get absolutely peppered with targets from Kyler. And the Saints are giving up the 7th most points to wide receivers on the season. There's no Marshawn Lattimore to guard him. So I don't know. I just see him as an absolute smash play this week. I've seen a lot of rankings of him around like 15, 20, 25. I don't know. I'm playing him kind of towards a top 10 wide receiver. You guys let me know if that's crazy. Let me know your thoughts on him. I think we'll get a lot better idea, obviously, once we see him play. But for right now, I'm ranking him around here. After Hopkins at my wide receiver 10, I'm going to have T. Higgins, who played last week. Wasn't amazing, but looked a lot better just on the field. And I think with the offense just being a lot better now, at least it seems like, and with him back to being healthy, I think that he's going to be a great option again towards that top 10 every single week. I got him ranked right here at wide receiver 10, especially up against the Atlanta Falcons, since that's a good matchup. After him, I have Mike Evans, who had a pretty down week, but going up against Carolina Panthers, I think he should be good this week. The entire offense for the Buccaneers has looked pretty rough. Hopefully they can pull it together. I think a lot of it has to do with their offensive line. Obviously, there seems to be a ton of behind the scenes stuff going on, but I don't know, call me crazy. I still think that Brady is going to figure it out. And Mike Evans has still been good this year, just, down week last week. I think he'll be able to bounce back against Carolina Panthers, who have been pretty friendly to wide receivers on the year, but I understand the hesitation if you have it. And the last guy I'm going to have in this tier is Chris Olave. He's coming off the concussion, so I'm not actually too worried about like an injury, like him not being 100% healthy. I think he should be good to go. There's no Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry, and it sounds like Jameis will be a game time decision, so he might play. We're not totally sure about that yet, but I do think that this is a pretty tough matchup. The Arizona Cardinals are the 6th hardest defense against wide receivers, and Byron Murphy, their top cornerback, has been absolutely locking down people every single week, so I'm really worried about him honestly this week, but he's shown to be really good, getting a ton of air yards, and with nobody else in the offense, he's going to get targets, so still going to probably be playing him, but I'm a little bit worried about him this week. Now, moving on to tier 4, my wide receiver 13, I have Mike Williams, who definitely had a down week last week. I thought that he caught that one ball that was right on the sideline, but I don't know. That doesn't really matter. Wouldn't have changed a lot. Patrick Surtain is an absolute monster. He's somebody else that you need to be really worried about if your wide receiver is going up against them. Seattle is actually a pretty tough defense too against the wide receivers, but they're absolutely bleeding points to the running back. So it could be an Austin Eckler week, but I think overall this is going to be a higher scoring game. The over-under is 51 points, so really high scoring game on the week, one of the highest probably. And I do think there's a good chance Keenan Allen's going to be back. We'll talk about him later, and that should open up the offense more. Maybe help out Mike Williams. I don't know. He's definitely a boomer bust kind of guy, but I think in this high scoring game, he's going to have a great chance to be really good this week. After Mike, I'm going to have Chris Godwin, who has kind of started to pick it up, hasn't hit 100 yards or hasn't found the end zone yet, but had 6 receptions for 95 yards last week and 12 targets. He's had 10, 6, and 12 targets since being back. And last week he played on 89% of the snaps, so he seems to be pretty much fully healthy. So I'm feeling really good about him. And I think as he gets more integrated into the offense, he'll just keep doing better and better. Still, I think a good buy low candidate if you haven't already tried for him. After him, I got DK Metcalf, who had a really bad week last week, got absolutely clamped by Byron Murphy. I think being a part of this 51 point over-under game, it should be a lot better. They really just ran the ball last week, so they didn't need to throw it too much. So DK Metcalf, I think, will have a much better week than he did last week, and hopefully Geno can also turn it around. He's been great so far in the year, and we just need to see that again this week. After him, I'm going to have Amari Cooper, who has been really good so far this year. Kind of up and down each week, so he's going to be a somewhat boom or bust player, just given the nature of their offense. They like to run the ball a lot, so not every single week is he going to be amazing. Only had 4 receptions last week, but he did have 12 targets and a touchdown. Baltimore also gives up a ton of points to wide receivers, so should be a really good week for him, ideally. Hopefully Baltimore can keep scoring, so they have to keep throwing the ball, and that'll help out Cooper a ton, but still a solid play regardless. After Amari Cooper, I'm going to have Allen Lazard, who has quietly been really good since coming back from his injury. I mean, over the past 4 weeks, he's basically had 12 or more points every single week. I mean, over those last 4 games, he's a wide receiver 9. So I think you got to keep playing him until you see otherwise. No Randall Cobb, he just got hurt. They're also playing the Washington Commanders, which have been one of the easiest defenses for wide receivers, so I think he's a great play. He could probably even be ranked higher than this. Like, if you want to put him up here behind Godwin, I am totally okay with that. And the last person that I'm going to have in this tier is going to be Tyler Lockett, who has also been really good so far in the year. I mean, a lot of that has to do with Geno Smith and just how good this offense is. Nobody obviously expected this. Definitely had a down week last week, but they just really had to run the ball, like I talked about with DK Metcalf. So it's a lot of those similar things. Yeah, not much else to really say here. Part of this great over-under game should be high scoring. Going to have a lot of opportunities for fantasy points. Going to be in your lineup pretty much no matter what. He's another kind of boomer bust player since he gets a lot of deep targets, but Geno has been dropping it in a bucket. So definitely got a good opportunity with that in this game. Now moving on to tier 5, I'm going to have Cortland Sutton to start it off. This Denver Broncos offense has obviously been struggling. Everyone's been seeing it on prime time. Sutton is still the clear wide receiver 1 in this offense. Russell Wilson's favorite target. Had a really down week last week, and they're going up against the New York Jets, which have actually been a really good defense on the year. So still going to have some worries for him. The offense hasn't looked great. He's just too talented to be ranked any lower, but given the offense, I can't really rank him any higher. So I got him here right now, my wide receiver 19, who he started off the year really hot, but has been really bad the past couple weeks. So who knows exactly where the truth lies? Probably somewhere in the middle, as it always does. He is playing the New York Giants this week, which is one of the toughest if not the toughest defense against the wide receivers this year. So I'm definitely going to have some worries for him there. Also going up against the Denver defense next week. So definitely going to have some worries for him for the next couple weeks still. Could be a really good buy low candidate after that since he's going up against Las Vegas and Kansas City. Still the main wide receiver in this offense. So you got to rank him around here just given the volume and what he has shown this year. But overall, can't rank him much higher than this. After Kirk, we're going to have Jacoby Myers, who has been pretty good so far. Since he's gotten back from his injury, he's been pretty good. Almost 21 points 2 weeks ago and only 8 points last week, but still had 60 receiving yards. They kind of just had to run the ball a bunch, got turnovers, so didn't really need to throw the ball all too much. Still a clear wide receiver one in this offense. And when they do need to throw the ball, it's going to be good for them. Chicago, who they're playing this week, isn't necessarily one of those matchups. They bleed points to the running back, so there could be points coming there, and they're pretty good against the wide receivers because of that. I don't think they're actually very good against the wide receivers, but because of that, the Patriots probably won't have to throw the ball all too much. So I don't want to put him really any higher. You kind of see the same thing with all of these players here, but I got him ranked here right now, my wide receiver 21. After Jacoby, I'm going to have Brandon Ayuk, who absolutely balled out last week. Also going up against Kansas City Chiefs this week, which is a great matchup for wide receivers like I talked about with Debo. Now, obviously what he did last week isn't projectable, or if it was, he'd be in the tier 1 of wide receivers, but obviously I'm not going to be doing that. But I do think in certain matchups that lead to them throwing the ball a lot, they're going to have to do that, and he's going to be a main target in those scenarios. Had 11 targets last week. I could definitely see that happening again because Kansas City, even though the Niners defense is tough, Kansas City should be able to score the ball a lot, and in turn, they're going to have to throw the ball. So Ayuk will be a prime beneficiary of that, and because of that, got to rank him somewhere around here. He won't be up here every single week, but I think this is going to be another good week for him. And so then after him, I have Keenan Allen, who I just really don't know where to rank him or what to do with him. I do think he's going to play this week. He was limited last week in practice, and then they ruled him out, probably just trying to be safe with him because they want to make a playoff push, but the offense really needs it. I mean, we can just see this offense is so different without him in it, but I have heard some things about him being on a snap count if he comes back this week, so I'm not exactly sure where to rank him. He could be a lot higher than this, could be a lot lower than this. I think as we see some more of the practice and some more of like what the team actually says about him, we'll have a better idea as the week goes on, because if they say that he's full go, everything's good to go, nothing to worry about, which I don't think they're going to, but if they did, he'd obviously be, probably in this tier 3, but just given all the question marks, I got him ranked right here right now. After Keenan, I'm going to have Deontay Johnson, who has not been super good as of late. 2 weeks ago against Buffalo, he did have 13 targets, and last week he did have 7 targets, so still seeing decent volume, just has not been very productive with it so far. The overall offense hasn't been great. They are playing Miami this week, though, which is a much easier defense than what they've played the last 3 weeks, because looking back on that Jets game now, that's a way tougher defense than we thought at the moment. And Miami ranks 9th in points given up to the wide receiver, so yeah, should be a good matchup for him, but obviously just given the state of this offense, we can't have him any higher than this. You could even have him lower. I do have him ranked right here right now at my wide receiver 24. And the last guy I got in this tier is Jerry Jeudy, going up against the New York Jets as well. A lot of, same thing I talked about with Sutton. Tough defense, and the offense has looked really bad for them. Jeudy isn't the main target in this offense, but he's still been relatively productive the past couple weeks. Had some big plays. He's had some other couple shots that he just missed. So if those connect, then it could be better for him, but kind of a boomer bust guy right now. Now moving on to the last tier, we're going to start it off with Terry McLaurin, who will be getting a quarterback change this week. Taylor Heineke is going to start now that Carson Wentz is going to be out about 6 weeks with a broken finger. Now they're going up against the Green Bay Packers, which actually have been pretty tough against wide receivers. We also don't exactly know what to expect with this offense because there's new weapons in it, but Terry McLaurin and Taylor Heineke do have like a previous chemistry, which I think will help him out a little bit. I just at least know that we can start him, and what we've seen in the past is Taylor Heineke just kind of hyper focuses on Terry McLaurin. Now he didn't really have Curtis Samuel or anyone like that. I don't think Jahan Dotson is going to be playing this week, so still don't have to worry about that, but really hard to predict anything accurately from what we've been given so far, and so really just got to wait and see it on the field. I'm going to have him ranked at the top of this tier right now because he's still just so good. I mean, he still looks amazing every time he touches the ball. If they could just get it to him more. I'm not going to have Curtis Samuel ranked inside this top 30 because I don't really want to trust him, especially with this new offense, and just want to see it on the field before I go any further with projecting them higher than this. At my wide receiver 27, I'm going to have Romeo Doubs. He hasn't been very productive the past couple weeks, but he's still been on the field pretty much every single snap, 96% snaps last week and 86 the week before. And if we actually look back on his matchups, they've had a really tough lineup of games. Tampa Bay, New England, New York Giants, New York Jets, really tough matchups, honestly. But now they're playing Washington, so I think it's going to be a much easier opportunity, like I talked about with Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard still clear wide receiver 1, at least in production and everything, but Romeo Doubs is running basically the same amount of routes, and he still got 9 targets last week, only 5 the week before, 8 and 8 the week before that. So honestly, I think this is going to be a really good opportunity for him to break out and show what he's here for. So I think I am going to be starting him in the leagues that I got him, just because I'm in kind of a pinch in some of them. And so I'm hoping if anyone else is kind of worried about it, I want to give you the confidence that he is startable this week. Now, obviously not an elite option or anything, but he can be in your flex for sure if you want him to be. After him, I got another rookie. I have Drake London, who, oh man, this Atlanta Falcons offense is just so tough to navigate and try to predict what's going to happen. They're just, I think Kyle Pitts and Drake London both ran 19 routes last week, and it doesn't matter how high of a target share percentage you have. I think Drake London's second in the league in target share. Doesn't matter how high it is if you're only going to be running 19 routes. We've seen it already, though. He's really good at football. If they can just give him the targets and give him the work, he's going to be great. But it doesn't matter what I want. We got to go off of what the team is actually doing. What they're doing is running the ball down everybody's throat and gritting out close games. Now, there's still going to be good opportunity for him, obviously, because when Marcus Mariota drops back to throw, he really likes looking Drake London's way. He's his go-to target, although hasn't been productive the past couple weeks. And he's going up against Cincinnati, which is a tough defense for wide receivers. But until something changes with this offense, we're going to have to keep ranking him here or even lower. After him, I'm going to have Juju, who had a really good week last week, but a lot of that was a massive touchdown. Still only had 5 targets, so not somebody who you really want to rely on week over week. And they're playing the San Francisco 49ers this week, which is a tough defense, so not somebody I'm super excited about, but obviously a part of this offense. You see that he can have a week like he did last week, any given week, no matter the defense that they're playing. But like I said, not something you really want to project, but we've seen it now, and maybe it's a sign they'll get him more involved. I'm not going to project that going forward until we actually see it. And the last guy I got on my top 30 is Brandon Cooks, who's coming off the bye week. His targets have gone down a bit as the year has gone on, but still hasn't seen less than 6 targets in any game, and that was only one game where he saw 6 targets. Every other game has been 7, 10, and 12. But obviously, this is not a good offense at all, and he is not like the clear, he's still a wide receiver 1, but he's not absolutely dominating the targets like he did in the past. So can't rank him as like a clear wide receiver 2 anymore, but I think a high-end 3 is probably where he should be ranked. So I got him still inside here. Still going to be a solid option at every single week. Rashad Bateman would also probably be in here if he's playing. Don't really know. He returned to a limited practice finally this week, so still up in the air. He would probably be somewhere around here or here if he is playing. Their offense definitely needs Bateman back in it because it's just been really tough since he's been out of it. Now he isn't always going to produce insane, but he just opens up the field for them a ton and helps it out a lot. So you gotta stay tuned for that and see how it goes. But yeah, these are my rankings. Let me know what you guys think about them. Let me know if you have any questions. My quarterback and tight end rankings should be coming out pretty soon, so stay tuned for that, and I will see y'all there.